And this is an issue that I've been talking a lot about lately, solar, but this really isn't solar, but it's related to solar. I'm joined by Dina and Nate from Comstock Township, which is the west side of Michigan, right?
Southwest.
Okay, southwest. There you go. Good to see you. Yeah, I reached out to you, some people that you know, and you've been following the whole thing in Michigan with the solar panels. What are we talking about in your community?
Go ahead.
We're talking about a battery energy storage system.
Okay, let me put it up on the screen for people who don't know, because I didn't know a lot about it, and maybe you didn't until you start looking into it. This picture right here, they look like shipping containers. Is that what we're talking about?
Correct.
So what are these? Is this basically like it collects the energy and stores it in there?
Correct. Just like any other battery, it stores energy, except this particular application is utility scale. So these containers would be connected to the grid and would store energy when there's excess energy being produced. And then during like a off time, like at night, if everything's being run by solar, for example, during the day, and we have extra solar energy being produced, goes into the battery, and then at night when the sun goes down, everybody turns their lights on, the energy is drawn from these batteries.
Well, so we're talking, there's a proposal, or there was a proposal to put these in Comstock Township.
Yes, correct. On a 76-acre parcel near an existing school and a school that is being currently built.
Okay, let me bring it up. I got the map here, and you can guide me if I get it. Let me get it right again. So this is Comstock Township. There's a lake here, Morrow Lake, and I go to the north, right?
Right.
And this right here is the soybean fields.
That's predominantly what they've grown in there.
Okay, so
I've lived here.
This is where they're talking of possibly putting these things.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's the school. So the school's right there.
Right.
And then what did you say? They're building another school?
They're building another school in the front of that property.
Yeah, and an updated satellite image would show a school under construction right now and a large substation in the back of that parcel that's directly adjacent to the existing school there.
Okay, so let's say this gets done and completed, and I take a satellite shot in 2 years from now. I definitely wouldn't see this. I would just see probably overhead a lot of this type of stuff.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, because I've done a lot of stories on solar, but I don't think people have talked about the fact that along with the solar panels comes these boxes, these huge cargo containers, the storage. I haven't even heard anybody really talk about that, but we're going to have these then all over the state, you would think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they would.
What's your
goals? Yeah.
Yeah. What is your concern about them and just your community having them there?
Within our community, our concern is safety all the way around, not just safety for the children that would be attending those schools, but environmental safety of the land in which we inhabit. And we have seen through recent news reports all over the United States of facilities like this literally going up in flames, and they can't put these fires out. And there's a huge environmental risk to our water supply, to our soil, to the very air that we breathe.
Yeah, I've seen the same story. Yeah, putting a fire out in one of these. I actually talked to a firefighter. He's an expert in this sort of thing. He said local fire departments across the United States, they're not prepared to fight these kind of fires.
No, absolutely not. And they burn, and they have to let them burn and burn and burn out. And it's unfathomable to be doing that so close to a school. Why would people want to allow their children to be there with that kind of risk being taken?
The second thing I think of is we need, I mean, I don't blame the farmer or whatever land for selling, but it seems like in Michigan, we're going to lose a lot of farmland, and farmland is important, isn't it?
Absolutely. We need to eat.
Yeah, unless you want some organic or 3D printed food or something.
Right.
And I want to ask Nate, maybe what the other thing that makes sense. People are probably thinking in Michigan, they want the governor and several others, Democrats, they want to run the state predominantly, and correct me if I'm wrong, by 2040, solar and wind. They want that to be kind of the majority of powering the state, but it hasn't worked even in other countries or other states. Is that a concern too, that they're going to spend all this money and put these on your land, and then in 10 years it's not going to work?
Yes, that is a concern. It should concern every tax-paying American because that's who's paying for this kind of stuff. A few bills that Biden signed, was it called the reinvestment of inflation reduction? Large portion of that was earmarked for these very projects. So every taxpayer should be concerned about this cost. And Europe did this decades ago. They spent a lot of money, tens and hundreds of billions of dollars on energy subsidies, and it failed miserably. They never recovered the cost. And now they're firing up coal-powered energy plants once again, refiring the stuff that they said, was ruining the world because they need electricity, just like we do.
Yeah, in Michigan, as you know, I have people arguing with me all the time, but solar panels, Michigan does not get a lot of sun. Now, I know when it's a cloudy day, they still get energy, but not like Arizona or Florida or something. So, and I say I do work for the Mackinac Center. I learn a lot from them as well, and I do my own research. That if this was to go into place, there's research that shows Michigan will go dark because it can't power. Right? I mean, you've read that too. That you can't power the entire state on just this.
No.
No, that's not. It's not feasible.
Yeah, so it's a matter of several things with Dina about the land and what it's going to do, but then some people would think, why do it if it's not going to work? Right? You're just throwing money away.
Well, it's being thrown away, but it's being thrown into someone's pockets,
not yours.
No,
not the community. In fact, this is probably going to place a huge financial burden on the community in the long term. We're going to have to build up our fire department, add new equipment, training, special trainings, additional personnel. Those are legacy costs that the township's going to have to bear until the day that the firefighter dies. And we're going to be paying their pension in how many years? So there's a lot of costs involved in this stuff that nobody thinks about up front. The energy company, they come in, they wave, $500,000 in everyone's face, make promises to do this and that for the schools, but the true cost of this thing is not really considered at the outset.
Yeah, in many ways. And then what if, my dad always told me this, never buy warranties because a company could go under. What if this company comes in, it fails, they go bankrupt, who's going to clean up this mess in this big field?
Well, the township is going to, this maybe state grants. It's, we can hope that there would be some federal or state grants to do cleanups like this. Oftentimes what happens, but
and yet I would like to say that we are still in the midst of an environmental disaster here, thanks to the oil spill here on the Kalamazoo River, and they have yet to clean up the mess, and we've had to go after them, and the state of Michigan has had to go sue them, and the work still hasn't been done. So we're still dealing with an environmental disaster of a different kind, and it's been years. And so is that what's going to happen with the battery facility that goes down? How long do we suffer? We've been suffering already over this oil spill.
Yeah, you can't trust that. But there is some good news, maybe, that let me know. The township, you were able to put a pause on it, a moratorium. Explain what happened.
So just a little backstory. Several of us in the community became community organizers, and we started to speak to our community members loudly and boldly, encouraging them to come to meetings, to stand up and speak your 3 minutes of peace, and to start fighting for our township, and asking that we unite as a community. And so that has been happening since the primary election, and it has only continued to ramp up because we continue to stick together as a community and a family, and more people are standing up and speaking for what they want. And finally, for the first time in years, our township is actually listening, because we were able to shake up the board during the election. And so now there are members that actually care about transparency and honesty, and knowing full well that the community must be fully informed. So change is definitely happening.
So that's good news. There's a moratorium. Nothing can be done until, you got it till December?
December 31st of this year is the expiration of the moratorium.
Okay. Let me, Nate, let me ask you, and we brought it up before I recorded. The state of Michigan has legislation where they have more power over local communities. Is there a worry that the state could come in and say, hey, Comstock Township, we don't care what you want, we're going to do it?
I believe so, but it was my understanding that there were 17 or 18 other townships that were actually coming together to fight the state together. And from one of the last meetings, they had discussed that Comstock Township becoming a part of that fight.
Okay. Yeah, we actually signed a resolution in support of that lawsuit Dina's mentioning, which was, I think, spearheaded by Michael Homier at Foster Swift. And it was largely, I believe, Eagle Township up in mid-Michigan, where they were talking about putting in a battery factory or something of the sort.
Yep.
But the filed suit against Public Act 233, specifically the rules, the way that they came up with the rules to implement that law.
Okay, so you're looking ahead. You're on top of it there. That's good. Yeah, I think, and you may have friends or family. A lot of people in Michigan are just learning about all this, and it's really sad because, like I said, I used to work in the quote legacy media. This is not being covered as much as it should, because this could impact every single person who lives in this state, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
It will. Yeah, I mean, the least of which might be blackouts, brownouts, not being able to have electricity. The worst of which would be one of these battery energy storage systems burning up down the road from your house and being forcibly evacuated from your home for weeks while this thing burns, and your soil being contaminated permanently, your waterways being contaminated permanently. So there are a lot of concerns from it. It will definitely, if they get their way and they get everything that they want, it will impact every Michigander.
And many people are saying if you're a business owner, it's not going to attract people to Michigan if you know you're going to have power outages and the electricity is not stable. That's going to continue to send people out of this state. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but I would guess that might be the case.
Good, very well.
Yeah. Are you from Michigan? Do you grow up here?
Yes, I am from Michigan. Yeah.
I'm a transplant from Washington, D.C., but I've been here for 38 years.
Okay. So one last question. Okay. What is your advice? And this isn't that you're anti this or anti that. You just want, you want transparency, but you want common sense, really, right? It's not about that you're doing it for political reasons. You're just doing it because it makes sense, right? That's what you're saying?
Yeah, this isn't about politics. This is about what makes sense for the community as a whole. And we've living in a township where the community as a whole has not been cared for. And we want to be cared for, and we deserve that. We work hard for that. And we deserve transparency in our government. We deserve those things. And so I'm proud of my community for standing up and coming together. More and more people are showing up at the meetings. 2 meetings ago, 43 minutes of public comment. That's unheard of in Comstock Township. 43 minutes. People stood up and spoke and said what they wanted and said how they felt. And I'm proud of our community, and we're just going to keep pressing forward and keep getting more and more to unite with us for our families, for a better future for Comstock Township.
So it shows people can make a difference. Nate, that's right, I guess.
I'd like to answer your question, Dave. Could you say it again? I forgot.
Yeah, no. people making a difference. And a lot of times people think they can't make a difference. And it sounds like people are coming together. Hopefully there can be something done about it.
For me personally, like I said, I live down the road from where they want to put this thing. If the worst thing happens and if thermal runaway begins and this thing starts on fire and they forcibly evacuate me from my home, what am I going to do with all my farm animals?
Oh,
Otay Mesa, California, just last year, Otaymesa, 2 words. There was a battery plant that burned for 13 days, or battery energy storage system burned for 13 days straight. Evacuations for 13 days straight. Who's going to feed my animals? Who's going to take care of them if I am forcibly removed from my home? And we have greenhouse industry. That's really the big industry that Comstock has. And there's 2 greenhouse corporation companies right across the street, literally from where they want to put this thing. They grow flowers and send them all over the Midwest. They're going to be negatively affected. So
there it is. I just found it. What you're saying. Here it is. Otay Mesa. Oh, that was just last year.
Yes, there's a lot of them. And I don't know how to say all the names, but around San Diego, there was 3 fires. I read somewhere one lasted 11 days, 17 days. On average, I think they last about 48 hours. But
the night that we were doing the moratorium, there was a battery storage facility in Northern California that went up.
Wow.
The Moss Landing, I think the largest one in the world. That was the most recent one. I think the fire just went out a couple days ago.
Wow. Well, I want you to keep me updated. I'll bring you back on and just spread the word. Anyone who's watching this, share it out. And I appreciate you getting involved in your whole community. And I wish you luck.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you for